Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special Facebook Live tonight that's part of my second annual summer series. I'm really excited to be sharing some awesome topics that I've worked on tonight, all about teaching comprehension. I'm actually going to give you 15 pages of free resources. You'll get a link for that will pop up in the comment section in just a few minutes. I'm going to walk you through some of the pages that are in the freebie tonight. And I'm also going to pop up on the screen here a couple of the topics that we've talked about in the past through the month of June and a little bit in July. If you missed any of the Facebook Lives and you wanted to check them out, you can scroll through my Facebook feed and try and find them, which is kind of hard. Or you can actually go to the video section on my Facebook page and see the latest videos that I've posted there. So if you want to check any of those topics out, you can do that. So tonight is all about tips for teaching comprehension, and I have a ton of practical resources for you tonight to give to you. And then Thursday, I'm really excited about too, because on Thursday, I'm going to be sharing some ideas around fluency and how you can teach fluency and what fluency really means. I'm going to be breaking that down for you on Thursday night. And of course, I'll have some free support for you as well on that in that Facebook Live. So if you're just joining, feel free to say hello, tag a friend if you think that they're going to be interested in this topic while we're chatting so that they can catch the Facebook Live too. Tag a friend in the comment section or a couple of friends. And tonight's topic, like I said, is going to be about teaching comprehension. And these pages that I show you in the live that we're doing, you're going to get all of these in a free download, which is really cool. So if you have any questions for me too, as I go through the content of this Facebook Live, feel free to leave a question in the question section. I might not see it as I'm going through all of the information because I have a lot going on, but I'm definitely going to check it after I get off the live, and I'll answer any questions that you might have then in response back in the comments. So even if you're missing the live broadcast and you're watching this after, you can still leave comments and I'll see them and be able to respond to you afterwards as well. So when I was thinking about putting this together about teaching for comprehension, I wanted to ask the question, what is reading? And I thought about that today and I really reflected on what does it mean when I say what reading is. And I came up with a definition that says reading is the ability to decode and read chunks of words that go together in a way that forms meaning so that we can gain knowledge and add to our understandings of the world around us. To me, that's my definition of what reading really is. And then the next question I had was, what are our brains doing during reading? Really, what should they be doing? And you could ask this question to your kids. What are your brains doing during reading? So what I tell my kids all the time is we can't see inside of each other's brains, and I can't see inside of your brain to know what you're thinking. And so as a teacher, we need strategies to teach our young readers how to understand their own thoughts about what they're reading. So how can we teach our students to comprehend? How can we teach them to learn about their own thoughts, that metacognitive behavior? We can use several best practice strategies to help our students learn to become aware of their understandings of the text. So we can teach them metacognitive skills. And this is something I'm going to show you here in just a minute. Let me pop my next slide up. And this second page that I'm giving you talks about the different types of questions that we can ask our students to engage them in comprehension. We can ask our students questions all day long, and we can never really truly understand what they're thinking. If we're asking the wrong kinds of questions, we're not going to really get to their level of comprehension. So you want to ask yourself, are the questions that I'm asking my students challenging them at a higher level of thinking? Or am I asking them really basic questions all the time and not really high-level type thinking questions? Hi, Barbara, I see your comment. Feel free to say hello if you're just joining. So do your questions require simple responses with not much thinking, or do they require a lot of thinking from your students? And there's really three different types of comprehension questions that we can ask. Hi, Rachel, I see you. The first type of question is a simple question. These are questions that ask about different types of words that they might run into, questions about things that they're doing to monitor their reading and correct their reading, things that might be able to just find the answers inside of a text, so like searching for information. Any type of question about summarizing is a pretty basic question. And then there's average type of comprehension questions. These are questions that invite the students to start making predictions, to have them start making connections, questions that will help them synthesize and begin to infer things about the text. Also, then the really tough questions that we're going to ask for our students are going to be those challenging questions. The challenging questions are ones that force the students to start critiquing the text and also analyzing parts of the text too. Those are those really high level thinking types of questions. Hi, everybody. I see your comments as you're saying hello. I love it. If you have any questions, ask away or tag a friend so that they can catch this live. This is a page that I put together from my teacher little Bible here. Does anyone have this book or use this? It's called, you can see my name on here, and I have so many, I'll go that way. No, not that way, this way. I have so many stickies on the top and stickies on the side. I'm going the wrong way. It's backwards for me. So this book is awesome. It's called The Continuum of Literacy Learning, and it was written by Irene Fountas and Gay Supinel. But it basically has an amazing outline of a ton of stuff with literacy, but what they have a section all about guided reading in there, and they talk about the 12 strategic actions for comprehension, and they break them down a little more complex than what I just did. They break them down into topics about thinking within the text, which are those basic type questions, thinking beyond the text, which are those higher level questions, and then thinking about the text, which are really highlight the critiquing and analyzing. So when we're working with our students on comprehension, we want to make sure that we are creating opportunities for them to explore comprehension with text at all three of these levels, not just the most basic within the text levels, but also the beyond and about the text levels as well. So I'm going to give you this page as a reference, so you'll have this and you can look back on that and just remind yourself, like, I'm going to be asking questions at all of these levels as I am working with my students. I see Jennifer has a question. Does it talk about best ways to set up groups? I struggle with that. You know, there is in the section for guided reading, mine is so, I must have spilled water. It's like watermarked. In the beginning of the guided reading section, it has their text. Can you see that? It has their text level gradient on here, which shows you what levels are appropriate for each grade level. And it talks about the continuum of guided reading. It talks about the framework of guided reading. And it has some really great resources here of how you can break down your guided reading. And it also talks about putting your groups together a little bit too. So yeah, there is quite a few pages at the beginning of that section that are really helpful. That's a great question, Jennifer. All right, so my next slide that I have for you is the 5 strategies I'm going to share with you tonight on teaching comprehension. And I'm going to give you resources for your students for all of these too. You'll get a link in the comments in just a second. So these are the 5 we're going to talk about really quickly. We're going to talk about teaching students to monitor their own comprehension, so metacognition. I'm going to share with you the Think Aloud strategy, the Stop and Jot, the Quickwrite, and the reflection. So let's get right into it. Here's the first one that we're going to talk about. And what I did, how I put this together, this is super cool. How I put this together is the stuff that's in red is what you're going to say to your class. So you could literally take this page and you could talk to your class about how readers are going to be thinking about their own thinking. And that's called metacognition. And then you can just read, right, what's in red there. I've put it kind of together for you. And then the bottom, you can cut that out and you can put these, you can pass these out for students to work on independently. So I call it check your understanding. I want them to check their understanding. So after we talk about this and what that means, the directions here are, as you're reading today, tell about a part of the text that you had to go back and read again because it didn't make sense at first. Describe that part and strategies you used as a reader to help you understand it. So you're actually going to get a copy of this and you can cut this out and you can have the kids use this over and over again. You can do it, have them do it independently, have them do it with a partner in a small group, but you're basically having them check their own understanding as they're reading, because reading is all about meaning and we want them to make sure that they have strategies in place when they're reading independently, that they can notice, hey, I didn't understand that part, and they can self-reflect and become self-aware. I didn't understand that part. I need to go back and read that again. And that's a really important skill to teach our kids. So this will help you with that. So yes, you're going to get a copy of this and you'll be able to use this. Let's see. Oh, question. Marissa, in your opinion, is guided reading more effective than Reader's Workshop? I use both. I could not do one or the other. And in my opinion, guided reading is built within the Reading Workshop framework. So I have a reading workshop with a whole group mini lesson, and then I do guided reading within that. Okay, so let's keep going. That was my first one. This one's really cool. I have this page for you as the teacher, and you can replicate this onto an anchor chart if you want for your class. And you can talk to the kids about how reading is thinking. And one of the strategies that you can do with them is some think alouds, modeling your thinking through the think aloud strategy. What it is basically it's providing a way for students to see what good readers think about before, during, and after reading. And it's inviting students to think along with you too. So some ways you can implement it. You can implement this with any subject because in social studies, they have to be comprehending what they're reading in social studies, and in science as well, and even in math, reading word problems and all those good stuff. So you can use the think aloud strategy in every subject. It doesn't have to be just in reading workshop, which is pretty cool. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to model your thinking out loud for your class. You're going to supply students with some type of text and have the older students keep a list of strategies that you're modeling. And you can even create a class anchor chart. I put together, this is an old anchor chart I'm giving you a copy of tonight too. And basically you can use this as a mini lesson over and over again. And what's written in red is stuff that my class has helped me come up with too. So we talk about how readers are always thinking and talking about what they're reading so that they can remember all they're learning. And we say reading is thinking. So what are some things that readers do? Let's just start making a list. And as a class, we make a list of all the things that readers do when they're thinking. So you can do this with your class and you can come up with your own list, and it can become a running list that they can add to. You can have it be an anchor chart in your room that stays up for a while as a reminder. They can put it in their readers' notebooks as a reminder of that reading is thinking, and this is what are the things that they should be doing. And I have one more page for you too with a little little suggested language for you to talk about the think aloud. It says, this is what you say as a teacher. It's impossible for us to see inside each other's minds and know what we're thinking. One way we can share how we're thinking with other readers is to simply share our thoughts out loud before, during, or after our reading. By thinking aloud, we're sharing our own unique thoughts about a text, and it helps us understand what we are reading even better. It's also very fun to hear how other readers are thinking about a text. We can compare how our thoughts are the same and different from other readers. So that's what you have in red that you can say to your class. And then you can practice thinking aloud with them with a mentor text or a book that you're reading together, or the Basil that you have, or a social studies chapter that you're reading. You could do this lesson for comprehension in social studies as a middle school teacher or a content area teacher in any area, really. And then there's just a little page on the bottom for the kids to think aloud. They can use this with any text that they're reading, any level. They basically just have to share something that they would say out loud about how they are understanding the text before they read, during their reading, and after their reading that day. So you can use this over and over again to help them practice how they would think aloud about their reading. This is all just getting them thinking about comprehension here. The third thing I have 5 for you. The third one is called stop and jot. I don't know if anyone has used the stop and jot strategy before, but it's pretty fun. And I do this in a whole group, and I let the kids do this independently or with partners as well. In a whole group, how I will do it is I'll read a passage, or I'll read a short section of text to my class, and we'll stop and we'll jot down something that we're thinking. And I'll give them each a Post-it note, because a Post-it is kind of a shorthand type thing that you write on, right? It symbolizes a jot. And I taught to them what a jot is and all that good stuff. But what it is it helps students think about their thinking during reading, to use this strategy, and it gives students a chance to share their own thinking. It also gives you a great informal assessment snapshot into what they're thinking and what they're not thinking as they're reading. So again, you can use this in any subject with any text that they're reading, and you can invite students to share their comprehension skills by having them stop and jot or draw, they can draw as well, during a whole group or a small group lesson if you're doing something small group. So this is the page for you for stop and jot. And the teacher talk in red just says, good readers can stop, think, then jot down something about the text. When we jot down something, it means we write or draw something down quickly that we are thinking, so we don't lose that thought forever. Readers can jot down what they're thinking about the text. They may jot about the characters, setting, problem, an event, a connection they make, a prediction they have, or an opinion they're forming. As long as they're thinking about the text, they can jot down anything that they're thinking. And so they get to do this and practice this. On the bottom here, it says, as you're reading today, stop and jot down something that you're thinking in 3 different parts of the text. Write each one quickly and then continue reading. So again, you can use this in any subject. You can use it in social studies to help them start kind of taking notes and pulling out important parts of a social studies or science lesson. Or you could just do this during reading in any format, during guided reading, whole group, independent, totally up to you. You can use it over and over and over again. All right, number 4, everyone good? Everyone good? Good, good? Okay, awesome. You guys are all saying you love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so the next one, number 4 that I have for you tonight is called the Quickwrite. I love using the Quickwrite because it's really fun. And what it is it's about teaching students to respond to their reading in written form, but it's still very casual. It's giving the students a chance to share their own thinking. And what I have them do is I have them write for 5 minutes without stopping. They write about whatever they're thinking about the text. So they can't stop. And I'll practice this for them. I'll time myself writing and I'll write on an anchor chart. But I'll write for 5 minutes. And if my brain kind of freezes, I'll just write the same word over again. The main character's name was Sarah. And I'll just keep writing Sarah, Sarah, Sarah until I come up with another idea. And then I'll write that next idea. I really like the part where Sarah got stuck or woke up late from school. And then, and I'll just keep writing like that for 5 minutes and sharing my thinking. So when I have a pause between my thoughts, I'll just keep writing that last word until I get to my next thought. And that's okay if it's messy. It's okay if there's not complete sentences and the spelling's a little messy and wonky. That's fine, because the goal here is to get our thoughts down on paper. And what we're secretly doing too is we're building their writing stamina here, and we're getting them all to develop that connection between writing and reading and thinking all in one thing with this Quickwrite. So awesome to do. So again, you can use this in any subject. You can have them do a Quickwrite in response to a science lesson, in response to a health lesson, in response to a history lesson. Anytime you can have them do a Quickwrite strategy. And not only is it helping them reflect on their own thinking and understanding of any text that they're reading, it's also showing you what they're understanding and what they're not understanding, the things that they're pulling out and the things that they're ignoring as thinkers and as readers and as writers as well. Super powerful stuff. Here is your page for this one, and it says, the teacher talk in red just says, one way readers can make sure that they're understanding what they're reading is to do a Quickwrite. A Quickwrite is a time a reader stops and writes about everything they're thinking about the text. They can write for 5 minutes without stopping. Readers are thinking about so many things as they're reading, and one way to understand all those ideas is to write them all down very quickly. They don't worry about spelling or grammar. They focus on getting all of their thinking written on the paper. I got a good question from Jennifer. Do you think 3rd graders can write for 5 minutes? Yes, I taught 3rd grade for 5 years and they wrote for 5 minutes without a problem. But if you don't want to start with 5 minutes, you can start with 1 minute and build that up to 5 minutes. I just choose 5 minutes because that's a roundabout time. But if your class can't write for that long, start with just 1 minute. And then the next time, challenge them. Make it a game. We're going to do it for 2 minutes now. Okay, guys, I think we can do it for 3 minutes. Do you think we have enough to think about in our brains to put on paper for 3 minutes about this? I think we do. Let's go for it and challenge them that way and build it up if you want to do it like that. And then the last one that I have for you tonight is about reflecting. I called it reflection. And this is a time of giving students a time to think about the process of reading and responding to their reading in a variety of forms. What it is, the ways you can implement it is you can discuss how thinking aloud benefits us as readers, thinking about our own thinking, share what has been learned from thinking aloud, and compare what students are doing now as readers that they were not doing before. So reflecting, what are you doing now as a reader that you were not doing last week, or you were not doing a month ago, or you were not doing yesterday? What are you doing now as a reader? And then on this, I gave you another poster. This is dated from 2012, but this is a really good poster, and I would use this in 2017 now too. Ways that we can respond to our reading in our reader's notebook. And as a class, we made this whole list, and you can have all kinds of different ways that you can respond and be reflective too. But you're getting a copy of this in just a second. I only have one more page for you. I know you've been patient for your link. And this is the last page I have for you. And it just says, readers share things that they're thinking after reading. This is what you'll say to your class. They reflect on what they just read by asking themselves questions, making connections, comparing the text to their own lives, thinking about the new things that they learned, and so much more. By reflecting on our reading, we can remember new things and ideas much longer than if we just stop reading and never think about that text again. So we say that to the class, and then the directions on the bottom are very simple. Just share some of the things that you're thinking as you reflect on what you were reading today. And again, could be done in any subject. So what I love about these 5 strategies I just shared with you is you can, again, use these over and over and over again with every reading level in any subject area. So you're really just building the idea of reading is thinking. We read for meaning, and that is the purpose behind what we're doing. And that encompasses our whole lives, not just the reading workshop time that we're in together for that 45 minutes or 60 minutes a day. So I'm going to put the link in, and then I'm going to take a look if there's if you have some questions. I'm going to stay on for just a few minutes because I actually have a webinar I have to get onto in just a few minutes, all about comprehension as well. But let me comment with the freebie link. It should pop up in just a second, so you'll get that. And then I'm also going to give you a link to, if you wanted to come to the webinar tonight, it's a free webinar. I'm going to be talking about 7 steps on how I teach specific reading skills to mastery. And this is a really good webinar. I'm giving you all the freebies, all the 7 steps for free, and breaking down how I write mini lessons to teach comprehension skills to mastery. So if that's something you're interested in, you can still sign up for that. It's happening in about 40 minutes, and it's free. It's a really awesome webinar. You get a certificate for hanging out with me too. And let me see, I'm going to scroll up if you have any questions. Oh, this is cool. Becky shared. Look at what she said. She said, I do the same thing at times, and I call it POP, making their ideas pop, pencil on paper. I like that. I haven't heard of that one before. That's a great one. Thanks for sharing, Becky. That's awesome. Oh, and Becky asked the same thing. How do I access the pages? The link should have popped up in the comments now. So it will be in the comments by me. You'll see a link, and it'll take you to a Google Drive. You're welcome, Karen. Thank you for the sweet comment. I'm glad that you found the tips useful tonight. Oh, this is the webinar I'm doing. That's the one that I'm doing in just a few minutes. You're welcome, Debbie. Shaquana said, it's great to take all these thinking strategies and have readers decide on reading goals for themselves. What strategy will I work on? I love that. And that, again, anytime, that's such a great idea. I really appreciate you sharing that, because anytime you can get your students to build that autonomy and to take on their own responsibility for learning, it makes it that much more powerful and meaningful for them. And they really get a stronger connection to what they're learning when they actually are motivated and driven. And they're the ones like initiating this learning process and getting to have a choice in the things that they're learning. So that's really awesome. You're welcome, Christy. Okay, so here's the comment that I put on for you to get the free downloads. So you'll see that in the comment section. And then here is the comment for signing up for the webinar. If you want to go to this webinar that's happening in about half an hour at 7:30 p.m. Central, my time. And that's happening. So if you're on the East Coast, it'll be 8:30. If you're on the West Coast, it'll be 5:30. If you're anywhere else in the world, I have no idea. That's all I got for you. Oh, thank you, Amy. She said, I highly recommend the lifetime access. That's so sweet. You can read about that too at lifetime or at jenbengalwebinars.com. Lifetime access, what she means is you have ability to watch the course, the webinars over and over again anytime you want. So if you don't have access to the lifetime access, you can watch them live for free anytime that I host them live. But if you want to be able to watch all the webinars over and over again, you can do that with the lifetime access. So you can watch them anytime you want. And I add all my new webinars. Oh, speaking of new webinars, I have a new one coming. I'm so excited. Well, this is my schedule for July, which is crazy this week. Look at August. I hope I don't lose my voice. And then this webinar is coming next week. This is my 11th webinar. I can't even believe it. This is basically, if you like all the curriculum that I write and you're a little overwhelmed with how to put it all together, you're just kind of like, I love everything, but I don't know like what I should get now, what I should wait to get, like how this all gets pieced together. This webinar is for you. I actually have like 40 pages of exclusive freebies. I'm giving you a scope and sequence for the entire year for your subjects. I'm giving you daily frameworks of how you can teach things. If you have a 90-minute block, if you have a 60-minute block or a 45-minute block, I'm breaking down how I would do different subjects with those time schedules. I give you all kinds of helpful tips and information on how you can integrate your subjects, how you can move curriculums from grade level to grade level. So this webinar, you can see it at jenbengalwebinars.com. You can see all about it and register for it already for next week. It's going to be really exciting. And it will be in my lifetime course. I'm hoping to add this in by Sunday. So if you're a lifetime member of the webinars, you should be looking for this around Sunday. It'll be recorded and put into the course, so you'll get to watch it ahead of time before anyone else gets to watch it live on Tuesday next week. Jeannie, will there be a replay of this webinar? Well, I think you're talking about this live. You'll be able to watch this live over and over again. That's what's cool about Facebook Live. So you can watch this over and over again. The webinars, I don't have replays for, but I have my schedule for July and August. So you have a couple options. You can pick your time to watch them live, or you can check out getting access to the course where you can watch them anytime. You're welcome, Barb. She said, thank you. Great ideas for my multi-age room. Yes, if you're a multi-age teacher, this is a great idea for comprehension, especially multiple subjects too. Amy, you're so sweet. You always make me feel like I'm ready to go back to school. I know it gets exciting. I'm excited for everyone that's going back. Kimberly, if you can't get the link to work, then try when we get off the live too. Sometimes if there's a bunch of people going to a Google Drive at once, it can get kind of fussy. So just give it a minute. The link will not expire. You'll be able to use it tonight or tomorrow. Try when you get on your laptop, try it then. It might work then. Just come back to my Facebook page and you'll see this live post and you'll be able to download it from there. Okay, guys, I see that I need to get ready for my webinar that's happening in a half an hour. So hopefully some of you are coming in to join me. And if not, that's okay too. Maybe I'll see you in another webinar, or maybe I'll see you Thursday night, because on Thursday night, we're going to be talking about real talk about what fluency means. I'm going to break down what fluency actually means. There's actually 6 layers of fluency I'm going to go over, and I'm going to give you some helpful free resources for that as well, and talk about in depth what fluency really means for our kids. So I'm excited to do that on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Hopefully you can join me then, and I will talk to you all sometime in a webinar or on Facebook Live again. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.